Now, because we are almost running out of time, what happens to William Ruto if he does not win the election in August?
Before we go there, Joe, let me explain first two things. Number one, I have said clearly, as part of what I and my team intend to achieve, is to sort out three things. Number one, we need to sort out the youth unemployment. It's a ticking time bomb. We are sending close to 600,000 young people, energetic, educated, into a lottery, and they don't know what to do. They get involved in odd jobs. They are earning between 100, 200 shillings. We need to sort it out. And this is how we are going to sort it out. Number one, we are going to invest in deliberate government programs like housing, like agro-processing, for example, at the EPZ, to make sure that we create jobs for these young people. Number two, the 10 million or so people today in the informal sector, the micro, and who earn 100, 200 shillings, we will make sure that we do three things. Number one, we make sure that we organize where they do their hustles. Number two, we make sure that the law protects their hustles. And number three, we make them access credit. Credit is the biggest undoing of small businesses. I spoke to a woman, for example, and I told you this, in Ruaraka, Shiko. She was in fact in the meeting of the women the other day. They pay close to 3,600% a year to access credit. Those are the people we want to save from Shylocks and from all this, Fuliza and all this. So accessing credit, what will accessing credit do to them? If they just access credit at even the current rates of 10%, those ordinary 10 million Kenyans, we will move them from earning 200 shillings to earning 500 shillings a day. This economy in 10 years will double. What are we going to do? We are going to make sure, for example, that we sort out the whole space of health by making sure that we conceptualize and drive universal health coverage. Today, you, Joe, in the middle class, you are the people who, in your SMS, you are sent bills, or pay for us this 10,000, 20,000, 10,000, 20,000, because people cannot afford. We are going to structure. We have gone through it. I have serious professionals who have gone through it. We are spending 550 billion shillings every year on health, 300 billion on primary health, and 250 on the other categories. We will make sure that every Kenyan, including you, Joe, who today pay insurance, we will remove those exclusions that you can only access, you cannot be treated for cancer, you cannot be treated for this. We will remove the exclusions, and we will make sure that there are no out of pocket. Nobody will go to hospital to be asked to pay money. Everybody will have a card that will access health for them, and we have structured how it's going to be paid. Last, we are going to make sure that we bring down the cost of living. It's hurting everybody. It is partly what is contributing to debt in our country. How are we going to do that? I've had, for example, my competitor say that he is going to spend 140 billion shillings paying handouts to people every year. I need only 30 billion shillings to make sure that the same 2 million people, he's talking about 2 million people, the same 2 million people, if I have 2 million farmers, I need 30 billion shillings, and I can improve them from harvesting 2 bags to harvesting 10 bags, by just giving them 15,000 each one of them. They will be able to produce food. They will have extra money in their pocket, and we will make a huge transformation in our agriculture. If we just, let me just finish. If we just pay, if we just ensure that our dairy farmers who are producing today 5 billion liters, we can double that to 10 billion liters simply by making sure that they have access to animal feed. That we have structured using the economic fora we have gone through in Kenya.
Yeah.
And if we just export just a bit of that milk, we should be able to get an extra 100 billion shillings every year just from milk export out of Kenya, which we have a ready market. Yeah. Let me tell you, Joe, the moment to transform Kenya is now. Yeah. It is not tomorrow. I have talked, for example, about transforming the Juakali sector into our manufacturing hub. And I have talked even about...
And we need to finish because, we do not have the benefit of your manifesto, which would have been great because you have the
Kenyans have been going through it.
Yeah. So we need to finish.
So Joe, I've talked about that whole manufacturing. That Juakali sector is now doing 3 million jobs. We can take that to 10 million. Speaking to the subject of the whole of that array, the furniture array, the furniture space, the textile space, the leather space, that is huge scope that will create jobs, it will create wealth, it will put money in people's pockets, and it is so different from what our competitors are saying. Our competitors are condescending. They are talking about banning Mitumba. This is a whole different mindset. It's what people think about other people. You think about other people and you don't think they are business.
To be fair about a DP, they at least they have a document. So it would be great when yours is there so that we can look at interrogate the figures.
I will interrogate the figures. Let me say one last thing.
Yes, please.
Many people ask, where will William Ruto find the money to fund this program that he has? Number one, the bottom-up approach creates more taxpayers, right? Without increasing any tax, the bottom-up approach creates more taxpayers, number one. Number two, it also enables the middle class, right? It secures the middle class. When you have more people with income, with capital at the bottom, then they can buy more. The jobs in the middle class are much more secure if, for example, if you are working as a manager in Coca-Cola, the more people can afford your product. If you are working in Farmer's Choice, the more people can afford your product, the more secure your job is. Okay. We are also, when we are talking about creating jobs using housing, we are actually looking at the middle class benefiting from owning houses. Those houses we are building using the bottom are actually houses that will be available, and we have worked out a program where mortgage we can move our mortgage from the current 30,000 to about 2 million people to own homes. Yeah. We have thought about that. And lastly, by just eliminating conflict of interest and state capture, we can move our tax from 1.6 trillion we are collecting today to 3 trillion. How do we do it, Joe? How will I do it? I have thought through this, and I have worked with people through this. VAT, for example, we are collecting 3.6% of our GDP. Rwanda is collecting 8% of their GDP. South Africa is collecting about 11% of their GDP. What do we need to do? Automate, digitize. If we digitize VAT collection, we will move our VAT from 450 billion to 900, maybe a trillion in just 1 year, right?
Yes. So
if we let me just finish. By so moving our numbers in VAT, we will also move our numbers in corporate tax by another almost 300 billion. So what we collected last year, 1.6 trillion. Maybe this year, 1.8 trillion. In 2 years, I can be able to move that money from 1.8 trillion to 3 trillion. So I will have more money to run my programs. I will have more money to pay debt. And there will be nothing like restructuring debt.
I really feel disadvantaged here because
25%
you have the
of
figures
all
in
our
your head, but I don't
debts
have the benefit
foreign.
of
75 is local.
Yeah.
So talking about restructuring is being reckless. And I want to tell you, Joe, these are things that I am passionate about. That's why I requested you earlier.
Yeah.
We should have talked about these things earlier. These
That's
are
what
the
I'm saying.
things that I am passionate about. These are the things that will change Kenya. And I want to promise you, Kenyans do not have the luxury to again engage in a game of guesswork.
Okay,
with people who do not have a plan,
we really have to
with
finish.
People who have no track record of doing nothing. And I want to tell you, Joe,
we really have to
I am
finish.
really looking forward to another interview when
you launch your manifesto. When you launch your manifesto, because then I can have the figures.
Where we can start where we have ended.
Right now, I don't have the figures. You've thrown out 20 figures, and I really don't have the advantage of interrogating them because they are not in context. But I really, really appreciate that. Finally, could you answer my question? If you do not win in August.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. If I will not win in August, Joe, I now have grandchildren also, right? And I will be satisfied. You know, very many Kenyans, millions of Kenyans have not gotten to be deputy president. I really thank God that I have gotten very far. From where I came from, this is very satisfying, being deputy president of Kenya, you know, against all odds. You know, it is something that I consider a huge achievement. And I will be a very satisfied Kenyan that I did my best. I served my country. And it's for Kenyans to decide what happens. And if they so decide, I will support whoever will have been elected and be part and parcel of the Kenyan society.
Is there any circumstance under which you would not accept the result of the election?
I want to promise you that I will organize no demonstration. I will not pull down any railway. That's what I promise you. If there will be any contest of an election, for whatever reason.
Iwapo unapenda habari ninazokuletea, basi subscribe kwenye channel hii ili uwe unapata uhondo kila wakati. Shukran.